Metalheads, and welcome to episode 27 of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Corbett, and with me is my good friend, Christian Renner. How are you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Glad to be back.
Very glad to be back.
It's been a little while.
A nice little break. You know, we recorded our end of year episode about 3 weeks into December, and then haven't really recorded since then. This is actually the first time we've gotten together to chat since then. So what's been going on, man? How have your past few weeks been? How was the holidays? How was, beginning of the year?
Holidays pretty good. We don't really celebrate. It's going to sound weird. We don't really celebrate Christmas at my house, not all that much. I mean, it's just me and my wife here, so it's not that big a deal. But the weeks were great, not feeling like I have to be on top of stuff, just take it as it comes, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, the releases were slow. There was 1 week where I only had 25, and that is so exceedingly rare.
And there's only like 3 good ones.
Yeah. And so I actually watched some TV, which is
nice.
kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't normally get a chance to do that, so.
I mean, same here. Like, I almost never get to play video games because I'm always so busy, but I took a whole week off work and literally beat 2 video games and watched a bunch of movies, and it was really, really nice and relaxing just to decompress a little bit. And you're right. Yeah. It has been nice not to have to stay on top of the new releases quite as much. The last week, there's been a lot of great stuff that's come out, so it's been really nice and kind of rejuvenating getting back to music. But the 3 weeks before that, there wasn't a whole lot. Like December of 2024 had like 2 excellent albums, and then everything else was just kind of meh. So 2024 kind of petered out at the end a little bit, but still, going down in history as the best year probably ever for music.
And I mean, most of that is probably, we knew that was going to happen going into it, because nobody really wants to release an album at the end of December or even the middle of December, the beginning of January, because everybody, tries to get on those end of year lists. I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a thing. And, if you start too early, people can forget about your album. And if you show up too late, most people do their lists, like we did, in the middle of December. So,
some people are even earlier. Like, I know Loudwire did theirs like late October.
Yeah. That's stupid to me. That's stupid.
I agree. I think everybody should be given a fair shot, and mid-December is a reasonable time to compile your list. Anytime then, and you're shortchanging the artist.
And when you consider you and I probably listen to way more music than the normal person, and we got a list done in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
I mean, it was a lot of work, but
took some time to, if you want to do it, you can do it. It's not that difficult.
Got to have the passion like we do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, without that, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, 2025, the first week was just okay. The second week has been a little bit stronger. The third week, a lot stronger. And then next week, I know there's just tons of stuff coming out. So 2025 is ramping up to be pretty good too. Some singles have come out. Before we started recording, I was listening to the new Grima singles, and they're both excellent. I'm actually really excited about that album now. So, I mean, there's lots to look forward to. We've gotten a ton of advanced copies of some stuff that's coming out for bands we love, and we've gotten to review those. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the harshvocals.com website, but we've been pumping out reviews like crazy the last couple of weeks. We've got even more coming out in the next couple of weeks. And I'm really excited to get back to this and keep the ball rolling. So much great music coming out in the next couple of months.
In December, you kind of get a little bit of fatigue. Even we get fatigue.
I mean, but we listen to more music than almost anybody. How could we not? But we love it so much that it's worth it. It's just, when holidays are happening and, life and work and everything else is getting in the way, it can become almost like a second job on top of everything else, but it's a great job. So it's kind of hard to complain about it too much.
Yeah. And then when you like some of the picks that we got today, that definitely gets the juices flowing again.
Definitely.
That new Halo Effect album is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And
if you're going to release an album in the first week of the year, you need to be Halo Effect.
Yeah. Make it that good. Yeah.
Make it that good. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, as I'm sure you saw from the title of the episode, the theme for this one is our 5 favorite live albums. So as usual, we're going to discuss that a little bit later in the show. But before we get to that, let's talk about our favorite picks from the past, month and a half almost.
Yep.
So I'll let Christian go first because his is the first one.
All right, we have The Obsidian Resurrection. The album is called As Darkness Falls. We have symphonic black / death metal from Mesa, Arizona and Modesto, California. The track that I picked was Prophecy's Will.
Prophecy.
And I don't like to be negative, but a 4-minute intro almost made this not a pick. That intro, I don't know exactly what it serves. Maybe if it was a minute, it would be okay. But honestly, the album would be way better if you just took it out.
It's so disjointed from the rest of the album too. I mean, it almost feels like it was a music project he did a long time ago. And then he wrote all this great music. And then he's like, okay, well, I have this other thing that we could use as an intro track. Let's just shoehorn it in the beginning. It's just too long and it's not great compared to the rest of the album. The rest of the album is fucking phenomenal. I was blown away at how good this album is. I just hate that intro track too, which is a testament to how good the album is overall, because we've completely dismissed albums in the last 12 months because they had intro tracks that were terrible. So take that as you will, but I think it's a pretty hard selling point that this is a great album that just has one bad track.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just had to mention that because it's kind of rough. But this here's some symphonic tinged black and death. And, we talked about how few and far between in 2024 we had that. So I think this is why this appealed to me almost instantaneously. Well, and it's just extremely well done. It is so well done. Nothing here takes a back seat. There's equal parts death and black metal vocal styles, and they kind of trade off back and forth. And I love it when bands do that. And the symphonic elements are all front and center and in equal measure. They're not like background noise, or it definitely serves a purpose. And when bands do that and do it well, that's what I love about Demo. Demo does that and does it well. And that's exactly why I like Demo as much as I do. I mean, this thing hits like a ton of bricks. Each song feels almost like a journey. And, the songs are all pretty lengthy. They're all in the 7, 8, 9, 10 minute range. So not Opeth lengthy, but this album is 66 minutes of runtime. So having long songs like that and 66 minutes, it would be exceedingly hard to make all your songs as interesting as these are. And I that's a testament to how good this album is. And with everything that's going on in here, this album really does feel like it's only 15 minutes long because of...
It flies by until that intro track starts again.
Yeah. I mean, you got killer riffs all over it. The leads are fucking insane. The drumming feels almost like a physical beatdown. If this is what 2025 has in store, it's going to be another great year. And one thing that I was really, really hoping for, and I did not see, is this is not available on vinyl. And something else that I came across as I was looking up, trying to find the vinyl here, is the drummer is actually the former drummer for the band Atrophy, the thrash metal band that I'm a big fan of.
Oh, cool.
So, there's parts here and there where it has a little bit of thrash metal vibe, and most of it is in the drumming. Just the way a certain riff hits and the way the drummer accentuates that. Just really, really, really well done.
Yeah, especially for an actual debut album.
Yeah.
These guys have been around since 2006. They've gone through a few name changes. Originally, they were called Obsidian, but there's 75 bands called Obsidian, so I'm sure they changed the name to distinguish themselves. And they became Obsidian Sky, and then there's a couple of bands competing for that name, and then eventually they changed it again to the Obsidian Resurrection. They really, really wanted to keep a hold of that Obsidian in there. But they've been around for 18 years, and this is their debut album, just a lot of singles and EPs before this. So, they took all that time, obviously, to work on their songwriting and craft amazing songs, because these songs are exceptional. I just wish they had not included that intro.
Yeah, I'm 100% there with you. I mean, you can tell that there's a lot of care taken in these songs. If you got a 10-minute song and it never gets boring, that's definitely a testament to the amount of work you put into it.
Definitely.
So, yeah, big fan of this album.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. This is, again, the band The Obsidian Resurrection off of their album As Darkness Falls. And the track that we're going to play is called Prophecy's Will. It's a great pick, man.
Yeah. I'm constantly shocked at how good debut albums are.
Well, we have...
how are you that good out of the gate?
We have, what,
God
3
damn.
more on the list?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
insane.
Yeah. But I mean, I love it. I love finding debuts from bands because they're that good to begin with. They can only go up, right? And,
Yeah, hopefully.
second, third releases, I'm just ready to be blown away at, their potential in the future. It's just incredible to me every time we find something that's this good for a debut. So moving on to a band that is not releasing a debut, Mork Grining. They've been around for a very long time, since 1993. This actually came out in mid-2024, or mid-December 2024. The name of the album is Farsoners Tid. It's black metal from Sweden. It's actually their 7th full-length album. Mork Grining, if you don't know, it means Dark Dawn, and the title of the album means The Time of Horrors. Christian and I both loved this album when we first discovered it. It was one of the few things from the end of 2024 that we both were raving about and listening to a whole lot. This is exceptionally good melodic black metal. I don't even go so far as to say that this is the best thing Mork Grining has ever put out. I think it's miles ahead of their other albums. They've definitely leveled up with this, and I'm kind of sad that it got released in late December, because if it had been an earlier release in the year, it probably would have been in our top lists somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. It is easily the best album to come out in December. There was nothing even remotely close to this. I mean, there's some honorable mentions here or there, but, nothing to this level of quality. And like you said, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind this would have been in my top 30 somewhere if it would have come out, October maybe. So, yeah. It's a fantastic album.
It's got great riffs. It's got great melodies. It's very vicious in places. There's not a lot of diverse emotion, but there's anger in every single song, and it's just palpable, so if that's what you're looking for and that's the mood you're in, it's like the perfect mood album for that. And I couldn't get enough of it. This is one of the albums I've listened to probably the most out of all the ones we have on the list, not just because it released earliest, but also because it is one of the best. So let's go ahead and play a track. Again, this is Mork Grining off of their album Fasornas Tid, and the name of the track that I picked is The Seer.
And that is more grinding or grinning or what? I'm not exactly sure how you say that.
Gryning.
Yeah. Grinding, maybe. But yeah, great album. And like I said, easily the best thing to come out in December. And hey, vinyl available. I've got it on pre-order.
Nice.
It should be here, I think, next week.
I am having a really hard time with vinyls right now because I am trying to save money for Hell's Heroes. Sidon's going to be here. I'm excited to hang out with Splatterpunk. I'm really excited to see Spectral Wounds. I'm really excited to see Abath do an Immortal set. There's Departure Chandelier is going to be here. There's a lot of stuff I'm excited about. Plus, you're going to be here for a week, and we're just going to hang out and, do shit. So trying very hard not to overspend on vinyl like I did last year, at least until after the concert.
Yeah, I think the last time I was at Hell's Heroes, I probably bought 20, maybe 25 vinyl albums while I was there, at the show. And then, we went to a couple of record stores. Carrie drove me to a couple of record stores in Houston, and shocking, they actually have a metal section. Man, well, what a concept. Wish they would have something like that here. Everything here is just mixed in with rock. So you got to search through, Dexy's Midnight Runners or some shit to find a Dark Throne album. Like, really?
Nah,
Putting this in the same category?
Houston's getting a much stronger metal scene, I've noticed, over the last 5 to 10 years. There's a lot more podcasts. There's a lot more bands coming out of Houston. There's a lot more support from record stores and things like that. So, it's definitely on the uptick here.
Yeah, there's a Houston band in my honorable mentions. And then, of course, Oceans of Slumber is from Houston, Necrofire from Houston, same guy, same drummer. But yeah, these are legit name bands. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next pick. This is another one of Christian's. This is Bazooka Troopers.
Yeah. Laugh at the name. I will freely admit that this is a terrible band name. But
there really wasn't much in December, guys. We said it already.
Yeah. But let me just go into this. Bazooka Troopers, Troopaz. So not troopers, troop-us, whatever. I don't know what the point of that is, but the album is called Scandinavian Head Splitter. You got speed / a little bit of crossover and definitely some thrash. If you took all of that and passed it through a Motorhead filter, I think you get this band. They're from Trondheim, Norway. The track that I picked is a song called Party Guerrilla Warfare. And all you got to do is take a look at, some of their track names, and you can see exactly what this band is about. And here in my notes I even have, is this one of the best 6 albums to come out this go around? Probably not. And there are probably a few albums a bit more deserving, but this has something that all of those do not. A very front and center feeling of a band that is having an absolute blast playing music. And it really shows. Every picture that you see from these guys, they're acting like fools or whatever, making funny faces, whatever. It's very obvious they're having a good time. And I like emotional and deep introspective music as much as the next guy. Well, not as much as Justin, but
probably more than most people, though.
But sometimes this is exactly what you need. We talk a lot about albums that are great on vinyl. Well, this here is one that I like to think of. This here is a great car album. Fantastic to listen to in the car. It's just fun. The whole album is just fun. And you can tell that they're having a good time. It makes you have a good time. You can tell they're not serious. They have a song on there called Tank Abbott's Diet. And if I don't suppose you remember who Tank Abbott was. He was a UFC fighter that was kind of overweight or whatever. But he was just like a bruiser kind of guy. He didn't really knows jiu-jitsu or anything like that. He was just
big
a
guy
brawler.
that throws punches.
Yeah, and that's all he did. And he won a lot of fights in the early days of the UFC. And honestly, that's the only reason I know him. used to be interested in UFC when it first started out because it seemed like such a great idea. And now it's, I'm good.
It's all pageantry now.
Yeah. And this album is just fun. And I think we could all use a little bit more fun, especially what's going to happen here in about 3 days.
Well, it's interesting because you're right. This album definitely does feel fun, but I noticed that when you're looking at the members of the band, the drummer is actually the same drummer from Bramall, and I don't know if you remember that album, but it was a pick for me, I think in September or October of last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really ultra serious death and black metal band. So, I mean, the guy's got some chops in a lot of different genres, it seems like. So kind of cool to see the same musicians appearing in wildly different bands.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a debut too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
One of the debut albums?
Yeah, they've only been around since 2023. So, they got together and wrote this in less than a year, and it's fun. It's a good album. I see why you love it.
Well, coming off of, Obsidian Resurrection, where you got a 66-minute album, this one here clocks in at 29 minutes with 11 tracks. So, it's in and out quick. It's just a good time. So yeah. It's not even a time commitment.
Nice. All right, well, let's go ahead and play a track. Again, this is Bazooka Troopas. That is fun to say. Off of their album Scandinavian Head Splitter, and the name of the track that Christian picked is Party Guerrilla Warfare.
Yep.
I find your excessive milk consumption deeply worrisome.
I wonder what is Party Guerrilla Warfare? Like,
I don't know. I'm assuming that these guys would fit right in if they went on tour with Municipal Waste or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be a great fucking show. Like who could out bullshit the other? That would be that'd be fun to see.
Yeah.
Who parties harder?
Yeah. Well,
although, did you see that clip last year of I think it's a Municipal Waste lead singer. They had their mom at a show, and she stage dove.
Oh wow!
And the crowd was holding her up, and she was crowd surfing, and That's fantastic.
It sounds like it would
you got
be a
his
good
mother to crowd surf.
music video concept. Just like strap a GoPro to your mom's head and throw her into the crowd.
Yeah, no shit. And don't tell her.
Right. Surprise.
Yep.
What's this camera for? All right. Well, moving on from the fun, lighthearted music back to my side of things. The next band we're going to talk about is called Black Negative Domination. It's pretty much as
Yeah,
polar
that sounds
opposite as
fun.
you can go. Yeah. The album is called Reborn in Darkness. So this is qualified as death metal, but it has a lot of blackened elements and even some technical elements kind of mixed in with it. I absolutely love this. The production is a little bit, as Christian likes to call it, thin. It's not super well polished, but it actually works really well in this particular band's style. Very heavy, very groovy in places even. I couldn't get enough of this album, to be honest. This is an international band. They're from Germany and England and New Jersey, of all places. Not sure how that came to be. This is also a debut album. It came out in December of last year, but they've been working on it since 2018. So I don't know. I love this. The track that I picked to play is called Screaming Soul, which is the first track on the album. You'll get the really strong intro, and it builds up to this amazing blackened death metal music. And then in the middle, it kind of slows down and gives you like this groovy interlude before coming right back into the super heavy, abrasive music. I love that. I think that the song structures on this album are very interesting and fun and very memorable. This is an album that I've come back to many, many times. And if it had been released 4 or 5 days later, it would be something that'd probably be a contender for my best of list for 2025. But since it came out in 2024, it's going to suffer that same sort of fate as the more grinding album, where it's like this weird no man's land where it can't be thought of for the, future lists. So unfortunately there is that, but it is a great album and I hope you guys do check it out. Did you hear this one, Christian?
Yeah, I listened to it, but not until you told me about it. I think it was Tuesday. It wasn't even on my radar. I don't exactly know how I missed it, but I listened to it probably 3 or 4 times since then. Yeah, I really dig it too. I don't suppose they have a vinyl for this, do they?
No, unfortunately.
No. All right.
I think they're too small of a band right now.
Yeah, I could see that. Same thing with that Obsidian Resurrection. I'm not surprised that there's no vinyl for that either. Just sad. Sad.
Yeah. Can't own everything on vinyl, unfortunately.
Yeah, it just, a lot of the listening we do on Spotify. And I know artists don't get paid dick for Spotify. And so I try, if at all possible, to listen to it on Bandcamp because, or purchase the vinyl. If it's something that I know I'm going to listen to going forward, I'll try and purchase the vinyl. That's my best way of supporting a band because I know and especially if you wait till a Bandcamp Friday or something like that and order it directly from them, they get most of that money. So yeah.
Or you can buy it on Ampwall.
Ampwall
Ampwall is Bandcamp's new competitor, but they actually give a lot more of the profits to the bands. So, they're both good platforms for that, but I'm the same way. I mean, I typically buy the vinyl just to support the bands. And then of course we see everybody on tour that we can. And, we've talked many times about how exorbitant our spending is at concerts.
It's stupid. It's stupid.
But I mean, you got to support what you love. Otherwise it'll stop being made. So that's at least my feelings on it.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is Black Negative Domination off of their new album, Reborn in Darkness. And the track that I'm going to play is called Screaming Soul. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Ooh, that's heavy. Yeah, I really, really like that.
Yeah, me too, man.
Just the songwriting is just so well done. You know, no wasted movement, no wasted time in there.
Yeah, there's really not
Clear, concise.
there's really not a lot of bloat on any of the albums that we picked.
No.
I mean, we keep saying that the beginning of the year and end of last year was like the weakest section of music releases in the last year or so. But the best stuff that stood out pretty clearly. You know, not a lot of bloat. Really, that intro track on that first album is the only thing that I really can complain about. All these other ones are pretty good.
Yeah, so on that first one, 66 minutes, you take the 4-minute intro track out, you still got an hour and 2 minutes of solid music. So, yeah.
Well, the next pick is yours, and I think we could both agree that this is one of the strongest albums, if not the strongest album to come out so far this year.
Oh, yeah. Shocking no one. My pick is The Halo Effect. The album is March of the Unheard, Melodeath from Gothenburg, Sweden. And like I said, shocking absolutely no one that I absolutely adore this album. For those not aware, I would assume most people kind of know who this band is. This here is Michael Stann from Dark Tranquillity and former members of In Flames. And this here is just an absolutely perfect mixture of that 90s Melodeath, but with a modern take. It definitely feels modern, but you can definitely see what they're going for. That old In Flames and Dark Tranquillity vibe from the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. It just, goddamn, Michael Stann is so fucking talented. Jesus Christ.
They've somehow taken that old style Gothenburg Melodeath sound and just injected it with so much emotion. That's the one thing that stands out about the Halo Effect in particular is that it isn't just fun Melodeath. It's Melodeath that actually makes you feel things, which is hard to do. Because most of the time, Melodeath is just a fun genre. It's, something you listen to like pass the time. I mean, everybody loves it. It's like chocolate cake,
Yeah.
And Michael Stann, you're absolutely right. He's one of, if not the most talented vocalist out there. He's been on, 4 albums in the last year?
Yeah.
And
Dark Tranquility, Cemetery Skyline, Halo Effect, and what's that other band he's in? Shit, I can't think of it right now.
I can't either.
Yeah, but Jesus Christ. And I swear to God, this motherfucker does not know how to write a bad song because, I'll freely admit Cemetery Skyline, not really my thing, a little too light for me, but I can definitely see why others would like it.
That I thought it was a great album, but it's definitely a much more like somber, gothic, kind of sounding album. It's not really metal as much as some of his other stuff. I mean, In Time Signals came out last year. We both loved that album, but that felt more like classic Melodeath, with like some modern elevations, but it wasn't a super emotional album. It was just very fun. It kind of fell in that category I was talking about before. Whereas Halo Effect, it's both. I mean, it kind of checks every box you could want an album to check. And their last album was great too. I mean, it's kind of astonishing how much better this one is than their previous one, because their previous one was an exceptional album too. I'm really blown away by this, and it's definitely my most listened to album over the last few weeks. I loved it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering, if he's involved in all the songwriting for all these different bands. I'm starting to wonder if he sleeps, because I don't know how you would write material for 4 albums in the space of a year.
After watching him perform, he has to sleep, or he has to take a lot of uppers, because I don't know how anybody can be that poppy and energetic.
Yeah,
and also have this much output unless they're well rested or on something.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to have to be a goal at some point that we get him on here for an interview. I would absolutely, positively love to interview him.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Jesus Christ.
The show keeps growing.
I would have so many questions.
Keep making new connections. Nothing's impossible. So maybe one day.
Yeah, you never know.
All right.
Yeah, well, and finally, I will be absolutely, positively shocked if this is not somewhere in my end of year top 30. And that does seem a little crazy to say,
this early on.
This is currently the album to beat for album of the year. So it's going to have to take something, pretty damn good to knock it down. It just a fantastic album.
Agreed. I would feel comfortable saying the same thing. I mean, this is definitely the front runner for album of the year at the moment.
Long way to go, but
I've heard a couple of promos that, could potentially dethrone it, or at least are as close to as good as it. But, we still got 12 months to go, like you said. So there's tons and tons to come out.
That Harikiri's awfully good.
Yeah, it is. And that's more in my wheelhouse. I keep listening to it. All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is the Halo Effect off of their latest album, March of the Unheard. And the name of the song is Detonate.
Catchy as fuck.
So why'd you pick that particular track?
Just how insanely catchy it is. I mean, the track 1 is super, super catchy too.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, damn, that's the way you start an album. And then Detonate starts, and that's even more catchy. And you're just like, fuck.
I think it's very aptly titled. It's very explosive, just how it begins and how it sucks you into it. That first, I mean, the whole album is exceptional, but the first like 3 or 4 songs do such a good job of pulling you in and getting you excited and committed to the album. I haven't really heard anything do that quite as well since In Vain Solemn. So, this is like almost that level of quality, just in a slightly different genre.
And I mean, if you're even slightly a fan of Melodeath, I have no idea how you would dislike this album. It would make no sense to me. Yeah. Just about, all our friends in the metal chat and everybody agrees this album is just great.
Yeah, it's killer. All right. Well, that's enough raving about Halo Effect. They're really good. Go listen to it if you have not.
Michael Stan might have a career.
Yeah, he might be good at this metal thing 30-something years later.
Yeah.
So moving on, this is a fairly recent release, my last pick, and the album I've been most excited about, aside from Halo Effect, that's released so far this year. This is a band called Bezna. This actually came out just last week, midweek. The name of the album is Krasno or Krasno. It has a umlaut over the A. But this is progressive post-black metal from Slovakia. It's their second full-length album since 2017. They're currently an unsigned band, which I'm astonished by because this album is just so freaking good. If you like the band Mole, or if you like Harakiri for the Sky, or if you liked Einvigi, which I talked about last year a lot, this has a lot of those kind of elements built into it, but it's a little bit more harsh and aggressive because the way the guy sings, the Croatian language or the Slovakian language, is so harsh natively that it just translates exceptionally well when you're doing, screaming type vocals. Whenever you're listening to like a Germanic language or something like that, and they're singing harsh vocal styling, it accentuates it, I think, because they kind of line up, if that makes sense. And it really works exceptionally well here. The music in all the tracks is just beautiful. It flows together really well. It's very interesting. There's a lot of changes and a lot of tempo diversity. And the music and the vocals both convey a lot of emotion, which is something I obviously always look for in my music. So I was hooked on this from minute one, and I immediately went and saw that it was available on Bandcamp and broke my promise to myself not to buy records because I had to have this one. But this is the only one I bought so far this year, aside from the Halo Effect, which I pre-ordered a couple of months ago. But if you like those bands I mentioned before, I think you'll absolutely love this album. It is fairly new. Christian, have you had a chance to listen to this much?
I only listened to it like probably about 2 or 3 times. For some odd reason, it wasn't playing correctly over my phone on Bandcamp. But I listened to it twice this morning since it was released on Spotify. It may have been on there yesterday, I guess. But yeah, I listened to it. The slow sections, I have to spend more time with this. I really like it as of right now. I got like a couple of times I had to check to see if I was playing the same song because, a lot of the slower sections sound kind of similar. So I was like, hey, did it just start over or something? And that wasn't the case. But so I just need to spend a little bit more time with this. And I think you told me that Blast Beats Vinyl is hoping to get this.
Yeah, they're working on it. I saw that in the Discord. I think that this is one of those albums where there's like instrumental themality. Some of the same sounds you hear in track 1, you'll hear later on, because some of the tremolo picked, melodies are like, kind of underlying in a lot of the tracks. When you're doing post-black, that kind of happens sometimes. And the way they do it in here, some of the melodies, I understand what you're saying, they do sound similar or they're related to each other. So, your love or tolerance for that might be different, depending on who you are, but Mole does that a lot too. And I love it when they do it. So it really works well for me here too. All right, well, let's go ahead and play the track. Again, this is the band Bezna, Besna. The name of the album is Krasno, and the track that I chose to play is called Paracelsus. So hope you guys enjoy it. So one of the things about this album, because I was talking about the instrumental themality, is that it's one of those albums where the whole is greater than the parts. I think the album's not exceptionally long. It's like less than 40 minutes, so it flies by too. But it's one of those where you kind of want to digest all the songs together rather than trying to pick a specific song to listen to. So it was actually very tough to pick a track to kind of highlight what the album's all about. But I listened to it like 17 times since Tuesday. So in the end, I decided that this was the one that best highlighted what the album's about, although it is only a short track. It's like 4 minutes long. But if you like that, you will love the whole album. So definitely check it out if you enjoyed that.
Yep.
All right. Well, that does it for our picks. I hope everybody checks out all those albums because there was a lot of pretty good stuff that came out over the last few weeks. Let's go ahead and talk about our honorable mentions real quick. I'll let Christian go first.
All right. I got a few here. Not as many as I usually do, but this first one, well, there's two of them that were really, really close to being a pick. The band Jarl, or Jarl, I guess it's Jarl, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
Because it's a chieftain or something.
A Viking chief.
Yeah. The album is called Trumafesten. We have black metal from Germany. If you like Immortal, Gorgoroth, or Campfire, you're going to like Jarl. Just a really good album. It was really, if Bazooka Troopers hadn't, made me happy, Jarl would have been the pick. Then another band, Agony by Default. I came across this and actually talked to the guy on Reddit, which was kind of funny. The album is called Of Darkness and Solitude. We have Mellow Black from Wyoming. And if you like Demu or Septic Flesh or even Old Man's Child, you'll dig this. Really nice guy. He's super excited that, I told him it's going to be an honorable mention, not necessarily a pick, but, even that, it's an honorable mention out of 250 albums. So it's still, it's still pretty good.
I like
if anything,
the
album's
too.
just, I agree with you, what you said. It's just slightly too long.
If he cut like one song or just trimmed down the length of a couple of songs, I think it would make it much better. Like it's like 85% exceptional and like 15% a little bit of bloat.
Yep.
Just that tiny little bit, but it's almost there. I love this album. I thought it was great too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The band Dominum, The Dead Don't Die. We have heavy/power metal from Germany yet again. Man, Germany. Those Germans are pretty good. If you like the bands Bloodbound or Sabaton, if you mix those two, like a heavier Sabaton, Bloodbound is a heavier power metal type band, so this is more in that kind of wheelhouse. The band Revolting, Night of the Horrid. We have death metal from Sweden. The things that I would say they sound like is Unleashed or Bloodbath, definitely in that wheelhouse. Then I came across a band that usually is not my thing, the band Veil of Conspiracy, Shape of Grief. This is progressive doom metal from Italy. If you like Paradise Lost, certain parts of Opeth, I hear a little bit of Opeth in this, but I actually hear quite a bit of Anathema on here. So if you're, feeling sad and down or whatever, this album would probably work for you. Then this one here, Carrie told me about, Regnum Noricum, or Norisum. I'm assuming it's Noricum. The album is called Lost Legacy. We have black/death metal from Austria. Think of a heavier Rotting Christ mixed with Abigor. And you're going to get kind of close to their sound. Then somebody local to you, Nocturnal Avernus. The album is called Coven. We have black metal from Houston. And to me, they sounded like a cross between a little bit more Behemoth and Karash Angerin. But like if you mixed there's a little bit of Karash in there. There's way more Behemoth than there is Karash. Then finally, Malkavian, the album called Delusion. We have thrash/groove metal from France. And to me, this sounded exactly what it would sound like if you mixed Gojira with Machine Head. Because, Machine Head does that groove style thrash a little bit more. And Gojira does they're kind of out there with some of the stuff that they do. But like if you made them a little bit more groovy and a little bit more thrash, I think this here is exactly what this would sound like. I just kind of wish the vocals were just a little bit better. They're not terrible, but yeah, I think the vocals hold it back just slightly.
Makes sense.
And that's all I got.
All right. Well, moving on to mine. My first one is a band called Atravitosis. They released a product called Undying Splendor. I cannot tell if it's an EP or an album because it's listed as an EP almost everywhere except for Spotify, which listed it as an album. So for that reason, I didn't consider it for pick because EPs don't get chosen as picks. But if it was a full album and I could confirm that it was a full album, this would 100% have been a pick for me. This is one of the best atmospheric black metal albums that came out in 2024. It is at least as good as the Ara album that I was raving about a couple of episodes ago. Just very sweeping, epic, melodic, atmospheric black metal. And I love this album. It is beautiful. So if you like atmospheric black metal, do not sleep on this one. You'll regret it. Next is the band Urfiend, Urfiend. They released an album called Daupalaikas. They consider themselves to be anti-cosmic black metal. This is their fourth full-length album since 2018. I'm not really sure what anti-cosmic black metal means. I mean, I guess their goal is the extinction of everything. But they have
the opposite of Vorga.
Yeah, they have lyrical themes that are, Satanism and occult and, destruction of humanity and blah, blah, blah. So, normal stuff, but the music is really good. It's got a lot of like very aggressive black metal parts. It also has some melody kind of underlying everything. There's just some bloat. And that's really the only reason it wasn't quite good enough to be a pick. But in general, I love the tone of the guy's voice. I love the tone of their guitars. Their drumming is excellent. Their songwriting is really good. Again, it's one that if they just edited slightly, I think the album would be just a little bit better. Moving on, the band Barsha Sketh. They released an album called Antinomium Asceticism. This is black metal from New Zealand, and it's their fifth full-length album since 2009. I don't know how they've released 5 albums and I never heard of them before because I was really kind of in love with this album. I kept going back to it, and I was really kind of waffling on making it a pick this week. It's just that some of the songs on the album are that sort of nightmarish sounding black metal, that wall of sound that just feels terrifying and incredible at the same time. And then other songs are more of a straightforward sort of black metal. And then other songs are kind of a melodic sort of black metal. So I don't think they've fully found their identity yet. And maybe that's why I didn't like it quite enough to make it a pick. But there are aspects in each song that I absolutely love. And the tracks are all very long. So sometimes the type of black metal they're creating changes multiple times even within a song. But that nightmarish sound that I'm kind of talking about is incredibly hard to do. I can only really think of a couple of other bands that I've ever heard that have been able to accomplish something like that. And unfortunately, some of those are NSBM bands, so we don't talk about them or promote them. These guys aren't, obviously. And I wish that they would kind of make that their focus because I would love to have a band that could capture that sort of sound. But definitely put these guys on your radar. One of our writers, Bree, actually did a great review on the album. So go check that out as well once you've listened to it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I just, like you, to me, it just kind of felt like too much all over the place. Like, yeah.
That's the thing. I'd be listening to a song and I'd be like, okay, well, this part, is kind of like melodic black metal and it's good, but is it as good as what I've already listened to? And then they would get to that nightmare stuff and I'd be like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then it would kind of, it was like ebbs and flows throughout the whole album. None of it was bad. It's all very, very good. It's just kind of having an identity crisis. Yeah. And so that, that's what kept it from being a pick for me, but I think it's a great album.
Metal with multiple personalities.
Yeah. Schizophrenic black metal, a new genre. So moving on, the band Faith Extractor.
Better trademark that.
Yeah, we should, right? Faith Extractor, Faith X, the letter X. Tractor. They released an album called Loathing and the Noose. This is death metal from Ohio. It's their fifth full-length album. This is really oppressive death metal. It's super heavy. When I say oppressive, if you can't envision what that means, it's just like there's not a lot of breathing room. There's not a lot of joy. There's not a lot of melody. It's there, but the core death metal part of this is just so omnipresent throughout the entire album. It's relentless. It's one of those albums that's just sort of relentless. And I like that a lot. The vocals kind of lean more towards the brutal style of death metal, like the really heavy gutturals, which works really well in some songs, but in other songs, I almost kind of wish it was more of a intelligible sort of sound. And that's why it ended up not being a pick. Like it was so close. It was like a razor thin margin between this and Black Negative Domination. Like they were very, very close. Most of this album is amazing. Did you listen to this one, Christian?
Oh yeah, definitely. The entire time I was actually having an issue with the vocals as well. Like if you put Unleashed vocals on this, this is easy pick. But yeah, what you're saying, this is heavy. I mean, heavy capital letters all the way through. Like I put in the chat, I said if 200 Stab Wounds is fun death metal, this is the type of death metal that you play when you want to punch your grandma in the face. Like you've just had enough. And
just make sure she has the GoPro on her head first.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. Yeah, this is heavy.
Yeah, it's really good. But speaking of fun death metal, the next band is called Headache Man. That's another laughable title, but they're from Russia. And this is more in that fun death metal vein, sort of like 200 Stab Wounds. You know, it's very like upbeat and not taking itself too seriously. Lots of groove, lots of like melodic moments. I thought this was really fun. It's not perfect. You know, it's definitely like a debut, and you could tell it's a debut because there are some flaws, but production-wise, it's great. And, you know, if they just tighten up their songwriting just a little bit, they'll be right there. Like this is an impressive debut for sure.
Yeah, just a little bit of bloat.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you like fun death metal, definitely check out Headache Man. And then
another terrible name.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just something in the translation or something. I don't know. Because I don't, you know what we should name our band? Headache Man. You know, like.
You know how you head bang a whole lot and then your head hurts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's in the metal realm.
Yeah, I don't know. You could ask AI right now for a good heavy metal band name and probably come up with 100 different answers.
I'm sure. Yeah. And then my very last one is the band Am I in Trouble, which is also, you know, a funny tongue-in-cheek sort of name, but they released an album called Spectrum, and this is avant-garde extreme metal from New Jersey, of all places. This is actually from Steve Weiner, the same guy who's behind Negative Bliss, which we talked about and played a track from probably 2 months ago on an episode. Mm-hmm. I also wrote a review of the Negative Bliss album and the Spectrum album. So the whole idea behind Spectrum is each song is an individual color, and then he tried to write the music so it conveys whatever emotion is connected to that color. So like in the beginning of the album, they play a song called Yellow, and it feels like you're sitting in a field full of sunflowers, you know, just basking in the sunlight. Very kind of antithesis of what you want in a black metal album, but it flows so beautifully into the next song, which is like, you know, you're coming off of a relaxing weekend and like have to go back to work. So, you know, that's maybe not the best analogy, but it's the best one I can think of off the top of my head. But each color does an exceptional job of conveying, you know, the emotion here. And the album itself has, you know, guest performances from a variety of different people. And I loved it. I thought this was a great album. Did you listen to this one very much, Christian?
I actually listened to it enough to buy the vinyl. And I think this is going to be one of those, the more you listen to it, the more you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
Especially on vinyl. I could see this being like a great, like I just want to kind of chill black metal album. You just throw it on and you're probably going to hear shit on the 50th spin that you didn't hear on the first. And it's just going to be, I think it's going to be definitely a grower.
It's definitely a grower. So, I mean, when I heard it for the very first time, I was a little bit less enthusiastic about the clean singing than I expected to be, because I liked the clean singing on Negative Bliss so much, but it grew on me. I listened to this probably 15, 20 times, and like the black metal parts are amazing. The melodies and the songwriting and the song structure throughout is just incredible. It's just the clean singing is very pretty sort of clean singing, and it's almost too polished for black metal, in my opinion. There's a lot of things in this album that I would maybe describe as like awkward, the way they fit together. But once you've listened to it enough, it sort of unlocks it in your brain where you can like appreciate the awkwardness because it just works really well. I don't know if I'm explaining it well enough or not, but this is an album that if you don't like it on the first go around, I would say give it 2 or 3 more spins, because it will click in your head eventually, and then you'll be surprised that you actually love some of the things that you initially maybe didn't. Because I really like this album a lot, and on the first listen, I was like unsure about certain aspects of it.
I can see that. Like I was with you on the cleans, but yeah, I probably got over it much quicker than you did because I'm fine with most clean vocals. But you can do clean vocals badly, just
Yeah.
so you know. But yeah, this is not badly done. But like you're saying, it just seems almost out of place because the cleans are so clean, and then it just it until you get past that point, it seems like it doesn't fit. But once you get past that point, you're good.
Yeah. It's a hard album to talk about anyways, because it's so avant-garde. I mean, we throw that word around sometimes as a descriptor for albums, and for some bands like Thy Cattle Falk, it fits because what they're doing can't really be described any other way. Am I in Trouble is kind of the same thing. Like it's very hard to pinpoint anything because there's so many different elements in every single song. Like some songs have jazzy elements and some songs have, more rhythm and some songs have, flute. So
honestly, I think the best thing that I can say about this is it's one of those albums that is incredibly introspective and depending on who you are as a person, you're probably going to get something different out of it than I will.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true.
So like it can mean different things to different people. It's not, one size fits all kind of thing. Like Halo Effect. If you don't like melodic death metal, you're not going to like that album. This album, I could see, even if you don't like black metal, you might dig this. It could fit a whole lot of different people. And if you do like it, it could definitely hit you just a little bit different than it hits somebody else.
Yeah, so. I think it's aptly named by calling it Spectrum because, it does kind of cover a little bit of everything. And I think if you like metal in general at all, there's things you're going to find to appreciate on some of the tracks, no matter what. And not to jump ahead and spoil things a little bit, but Steve did submit this to us way before the album actually released. So I'm going to go ahead and consider this our extreme submission, and we're going to play a track from the album at the end of the episode. So stay tuned for that. All right. Well, that does it for our honorable mentions. Let's go ahead and move into our topic for the episode. So, Christian, you came up with this one. What inspired you to want to talk about live albums?
Well, I guess part of it is, I bought tickets to fly down to Houston for Hell's Heroes. We're seeing announcements for live shows. And, I started thinking about it. And like I told you, I honestly feel that there's two categories of live albums where metal is concerned. They're either really, really, really good or really, really, really bad. There's like no middle ground. To me, if a live album has to have, number one, the songs have to be just slightly different. At least give me something different than what's on the record. Not every song, but give me something in your show that's different. It has to have crowd interaction, maybe the band talking to the crowd, the call and response kind of thing. I love when bands do that. You get the crowd to sing along. Yeah. I love that. And just, like obviously show that the band is on top form and, the sound quality is good. There's just certain things that make a great live album. And this is going to be kind of funny because there's nothing harsh vocal in my top 5. And as a matter of fact, only 3 of them are metal. So I'm very particular when it comes to live albums. There's definitely some that I could have thrown, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, both have multiple fantastic live albums. I could have thrown Ozzy in here with the tribute album to Randy Rhoads because that, on top of everything else, means something, from the death of Randy. Even going back to Rainbow Live is a fantastic album with Dio on vocals. And, even that didn't quite make my top 5, but it's definitely one that I actually have on vinyl. And, Deep Purple has Scorpions Worldwide Live, fantastic. So there are some really good ones, but I think my favorite, I'm not saying these are the best, but my favorite, I came to a list of 5 and hopefully we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I feel like there's not a lot of middle ground with live albums. They're either really good or really bad. Mine are obviously metal bands and harsh vocal driven metal bands. I do have one that's not, which still probably won't be surprising for anybody that's listening to the show for a while. But there are reasons that I have behind each one of mine. You know, some of them are favorites because I saw the concert that they were filmed at. Some of them are favorites because of the, you know, tongue-in-cheek crowd interaction kind of stuff. Some of them are favorites because I never got to see that band live, and this is the closest I can come to it. So, you know, I'm going to talk about mine. You know, I think the best way to do this is how we usually do. Just you'll start with your number 5 and I'll do my number 5 and we'll just go back and forth. So why don't you go ahead and start with yours?
My number 5 is Blind Guardian Live, and it's exactly what I just mentioned. Hansi's in top form, the crowd interaction, call and response multiple times. You know, when the crowd sings along to, what's the In the Forest song? Just great call and response. And the set list is just absolutely stellar. Every Blind Guardian song that you'd want to hear is on that album. Probably a nightmare for you. But yeah, it's 2 hours and some, and just banger after banger after banger. Not a weak moment on the entire album. Just great all the way through.
Cool. I don't think I've ever actually heard that one.
I can guarantee you're not going to like it. You don't like Hansi's vocals. So
I do not.
Yeah, you're not going to like it. So yeah.
All right. Well, fair enough. My number 5 is actually a recently released one. And this one is probably the most questionable on my list, but Amorphous' Tales from the Thousand Lakes live at Tavastia. As far as production and quality of performance and hearing rejuvenated versions of classic songs that I, you know, grew up loving, it doesn't get much better than this. This is an exceptionally well recorded live performance. You know, there's small little changes. You can tell there's authenticity to how they're playing, but it still feels very much like you're being transported back to that era of Amorphous, and you're able to enjoy the original songs that, you know, you loved on Tales from the Thousand Lakes. So for me, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that, at least not in recent years. Typically I skip live albums, or, you know, because I have so much new music to listen to on weekly releases as it is anyways. I very rarely pay attention to the live releases. I did check out like the Ghost movie album that came out. I checked out this one. I checked out a couple of others last year, but generally I'll skip over them, especially if I have too much new stuff to listen to. But this one, it grabbed my attention. And then, you know, I was fortunate to see Amorphous again live this year with Dark Tranquillity, or last year rather. And, you know, they were as incredible as they've been every time I've seen them. So if you haven't heard this one and you're a fan of Amorphous at all and you like live albums, you really can't go wrong with this.
Yeah, I even purchased that on vinyl, which is kind of, I mean, all the albums that I'm going to mention here, I actually have on vinyl. So it is definitely in my wheelhouse. My number 4, now this here is going to be a little bit difficult because I'm not sure if this band is still going or what the status is. This guy kind of shit all over his own career. It's John Schaefer and Iced Earth, but Alive in Athens. I don't know. This is very difficult because, yeah, he got suckered in by that whole crazy shit. Not judging whatever, but, you know, he did go off the deep end there. So, but this is way, 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 way before that. And them being in Athens, and the crowds in Greece must be incredible. I mean, we already talk about how great the music is coming out of Greece. Mm-hmm. They have an amazing metal scene there.
Yeah,
they must.
Massive fan bases.
They got to have something crazy.
Yeah.
And the crowd is super into this. They're singing along to the melodies of songs. So that says everything you need to know, and that hypes you up. Plus, they actually do Dante's Inferno, which is one of my favorite songs from Iced Earth. A 15-minute song that is absolutely incredible. And Matt Barlow on vocals. Yeah, he's always been my favorite Iced Earth vocalist. He's got a little bit of an edge to him, clean. Like, he almost has a little bit of like that Paul Stanley kind of sound from Kiss, which is kind of weird because I do not like this. But yeah, I definitely dig Matt Barlow. Plus, I've met him, super nice guy. Never did meet John Schaefer. He was already on the bus. But Matt was out there talking to everybody. Super nice guy. Funny. Very, very, very funny. I like to tell this story because it is really, really funny. I'm sitting there talking to Matt Barlow, and about 6 feet away, 8 feet away, there are these two girls that are looking at Matt Barlow. And I'm talking to him, and I look over my shoulder, I see him, and they're just a little bit closer. And then I'm talking to him, I look over my shoulder, and they're a little bit closer. They're just kind of slowly moving in. And I'm talking to Matt, and Matt turns around, and he looks over at me, and he goes, hold on a second. And he turns to the girls, and he goes, hey, just so you know, I'm happily married. This isn't going to happen. Go talk to the guys in In Flames. They'll fuck anything. And both girls were just like, oh, okay, and just left. Like, it was such a funny, I actually legit started laughing, and he goes, you wouldn't believe how many times that happens. And it's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, it can be kind of difficult being out on the road, but it's like, yeah, I'm not into that. So, yeah. Hell of a nice guy. You can't completely, there were other musicians in this that put their blood, sweat, and tears into this. So I got to give credit where credit is due. This is a fantastic live album.
Yeah, it's hard to separate the art from the artist sometimes.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Tough call. I've never been a huge Ice Search fan, so it's not like a huge loss for me, but I understand where everybody else is coming from with it.
Yeah, I get it. I definitely get it. And I mean, honestly, if John Schaefer would just come out and say, hey, I fucked up. I got taken in by this. Yes, it was dumb. I got suckered into it. There was a bunch of people there that got suckered into this. So it's not crazy to think that you could get convinced of just about fucking anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he would come out and just say that, and then like, hey, I apologize, blah, 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 I would completely give them another shot. As it stands, I will never buy another Iced Earth album. So
it's fair.
Yeah. And I mean, they've come out with some represses that I do not own that I would like to have, but I can't justify giving him the money.
Yeah. You got to set your own principles. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number 4, is also kind of inspired by Hell's Heroes because Abath is going to be doing an Immortal set at the show, which I'm super excited about because that's the closest I'll ever come to seeing Immortal perform live. But my number 4 pick is the live album, The Seventh Date of Blashirk from Immortal. This is an album that I've loved since it first came out back in like 2009. It is an incredible set list. It's Sung No Longer Rises, Withstand the Fall of Time, Sons of Northern Darkness, Tyrants, One by One, Wrath from Above, Unholy Forces of Evil, Unsilent Storms in the North Abyss, At the Heart of Winter, Battles in the North, and Blashirk, Mighty Raven Dark. I mean, that is the top tier Immortal songs on this set list. And it was recorded at Wacken too. So there's a lot of like really great crowd interaction. You get to hear Abath doing, really Abathy things like saying, how the fuck is everybody doing, motherfucker? Like super loud and just super cheesy in his, black metal voice in between songs and whatnot. He's doing crowd work and it's endearing, to be honest. Like I've always loved Immortal, but this particular live album lets you hear them and experience them in a different way because the production value on it is so much higher than what some of their early recorded albums were. So, I mean, yes, there's crowd noises and everything behind them, but as we talked about before, sometimes with that old school black metal sort of sound, having more of that like open air sort of sound stuff accentuates it rather than oppresses it. So like it's not supposed to sound super polished because it is black metal, but it is more polished than what you got on the previous albums or the original versions of the songs rather. And it just adds something to it. And I've always loved this one. It's one of my all-time favorites. I don't listen to a ton of live albums, but I go back to this one somewhat regularly.
And I mean, Abath is just, he just seems like a legit cool person.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't take himself overly seriously. I mean, like you see him in his full stage getup and stuff and like some backstage footage and you see him dancing a jig or something, and you're just like, what the fuck?
He's always making faces and stuff.
He doesn't care, it's like, hey, this is fun. We're having fun here, know? Yes, it's black metal. Yes, I got my face painted. Yes, I look evil. who gives a fuck? Like, let's have some fun, you know?
Ultra serious, grim music with, a fun slapstick character as the front man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Yeah,
I love Immortal.
Immortal's one of my favorite
Same here.
black metal bands.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands,
Probably
period.
always will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, my number 3, here's where the show might come to a screeching halt. Like I said, I have 2 albums on my list that are not metal. This one here is just progressive rock. It's the Pulse Live 94 from Pink Floyd. This album is just stunning. It is so good that I actually bought the box set on vinyl. And it comes with this great packaging. Everything about it is fantastic. And the only thing that you really, really need to know about this album is it's David Gilmour at the height, to me, at the height of his guitar playing ability. Just stunning. If you listen to one song and one song only on this, just listen to Comfortably Numb and just that guitar solo on, oh my God, it is, just even thinking about it is giving me, goosebumps and shit, just because of how insanely good his guitar playing is on that. And I mean, it's fantastic throughout. And again, fantastic set list, good crowd interaction, but the star here is David Gilmour and that guitar. And it just stunning, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's not too much of a surprise. I mean, you've mentioned your love of Pink Floyd before, so
yeah.
I don't think we're going to come to a screeching halt over that. If you were it's Glenn Frey or something, I may be like, what?
Well, my next one will surprise you then.
Oh, no.
It's not Glenn Frey.
Okay.
So who's your number 3?
So my number 3 is another one of my all-time favorite bands, Sentenced. They released a box set back in 2005 called Buried Alive, which was a compilation of a bunch of live performances they did. I never got the opportunity to see Sentenced live. They came to the US a couple of times when I was, first really getting into more extreme heavy metal. And I never pursued going to see them in concert, and I deeply regret it because they were one of my favorite bands and still are one of my favorite bands. This live box set, gives you a lot of insight into their personalities. There's a lot of moments that are really emotional and powerful, especially considering, the guitarist died and everything, getting to hear the band joking with each other and talking to the crowd. And there's just so many cool moments on this, and it feels very authentic and very unique. And it's, again, the only way that I will ever get to experience what Sentenced was, as close to real life as, it can be. So I love this album. It's got banger after banger too. It's like just like the Immortal one I was just talking about, it's like a compilation of all of their best songs. So if you like Sentenced and you've never heard this, I highly recommend checking it out. It's great.
Yeah, I'm a big Sentence fan, and luckily I was able to see him in the late 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember exactly when, but it was the Cold White Light tour. Mm-hmm. And they weren't the headliner. I think they were opening for somebody. I can't remember who now. That was 25 years ago. But yeah, fantastic live band. Fantastic. So, my number 2, another non-metal album. There's the band Dire Straits. And for a non-metal album, I consider this to be the greatest live album ever recorded that is not metal. And just like the Pink Floyd one, if you only listen to one song, listen to Sultans of Swing off of Alchemy Live, which normally is a 4-minute song, 3-minute, 4-minute song. On Alchemy Live, it's almost 10 minutes long, and holy shit, is it good. I've probably listened to that version, easily 2,000 or 3,000 times. It is so fucking good. But the whole album is really good. That's just the biggest highlight. You can actually find just that on YouTube. Just listen to that. And his guitar playing, Mark Knopfler is a very, very underrated guitarist. A lot of people don't talk about him as being as, good as he was, but watch in that video how he's playing the guitar. He is doing some shit that I've never seen any other guitarist do. He does finger picking and regular picking all at the same time. and he goes back and forth, but he does a lot of finger picking, and it's very fast. Just incredible album. And just watch the video if you don't, if you're not aware of Dire Straits, or the only thing is Money for Nothing and Your Chicks for Free. Trust me, they were way better back in the day. And something else that's kind of interesting on that album, I think that there was the very first gig that they had that drummer. He was a completely new drummer to them, and the drumming on it is absolutely amazing. He did a fantastic job. Just all I can say is watch the video on YouTube. I think it has like 60 million views at this point. It's crazy. But yeah, that's my number 2 live album of all time. And I would even say, if my number 1 wasn't there, this would easily be my favorite live album ever.
Very cool. I've never heard it, obviously. I'm not even sure it would be up my alley, but yeah, I like the idea of like taking a 4-minute song and stretching it out and making it a completely different composition for a live setting. I've seen other bands do something similar, and it's always a really cool experience when they transform a song into a completely different version for the live performance.
The live version of that song is so much better than the recorded version. Oh my God. It is just, it almost sounds like a completely different song. And most of it's, guitar oriented, and yeah, just great.
Cool. Well, moving on to my number 2. This is Dimmu Borgir, Forces of the Northern Night. So Dimmu released Abrahadabra back in 2010, and even though much of the metal community did not love that album, I did. They've always been a symphonic metal band, but they actually got a real symphony to record all the parts instead of just using, MIDI files or whatever they'd typically been doing beforehand. So it added this whole like layer to the album that I loved. And then I got to see them perform that album in its entirety when they toured the US that year. And that was such a cool experience for me, because I'd always been a huge fan of Dimmu, but they're another one that I just had never had the opportunity to see live until that tour. And then shortly after that, they announced they were doing this performance in Norway, where they were actually going to have the National Symphony of Norway perform with them and, do the whole album with a full symphony. And, I've watched the DVD of that and listened to the commentary, and, I own the live album as well. It's such a cool experience to see that all come together and to hear, the live performance, not just of the band, but also the symphony with the band. I think it adds so much to the album, and it really makes it memorable in a way that it otherwise probably wouldn't be. And I love this. I listen to it very frequently, even still. Did you ever hear that one, Christian?
Yeah, I've always liked it. And I always thought, maybe Metallica should take some fucking lessons. Their S&M, I was not a fan of that. But yeah, Dimmu definitely knew how to, meld those two things, having a full orchestra. They had to do some work, to get that, to flow together as well as it did. And I was always impressed at how well they did it.
There was so much,
took some work.
There was so much experimental stuff on Abrahadabra that they hadn't really done on previous albums, like the throat singing and some of the orchestral components. I loved all that stuff. I felt like Dimmu was about to enter into some sort of explosive creativity age for them. And then, they didn't really release anything for a long time after that, which is unfortunate. I'm still waiting on the next Dimmu album.
Yeah.
But at least they're not broken up officially or anything. They're still working on it. So,
well, I'm
soon.
also a big fan of their side project. What's that rock and roll band?
Chrome Division.
Chrome Division.
Yeah.
I love that. Matter of fact, I've been looking for that vinyl forever.
Yeah, actually, when I think black metal, Shagrath's voice is the one that I almost unequivocally assign to black metal. And, it's kind of the standard that I hold everybody else. Yeah, I mean, those two guys are kind of like the tent pole for black metal, in my opinion. And, it's what I compare everybody else to. So, Dimmu, they're much maligned, but I never understood why. Everything they've ever put out has been great.
I mean, they've always had fantastic albums, and, they do stuff that, people don't expect. I mean, Puritania, that's my personal favorite. I love that album. And, the song Puritania, just the way that kicks in with the guitar riff, the drums, but yeah. And I think it's almost like they got kind of pissy with how much people, shit all over Abracadabra. And they're like, fuck you. And it just disappeared for a while. And but they're one of those bands that you could see where they started and how much they've grown.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep getting better and better and better and better. I mean, even though Puritania is my favorite, they're another band that I honestly consider that they don't have a bad album.
I agree. Yeah, I love all their albums. So
yeah.
And I mean, even the live one, like I'm talking about, there's a lot of bands that I love their whole discography, and then they have live albums that come out, and I'm just kind of like, okay, it's a live album.
Yeah.
They did something special and different, and that's why it's cool.
Yeah. So my number one, and everybody knows my favorite band of all time, Iron Maiden. So it has to be Live After Death. My very first live album that I fell in love with, just everything about that. It's from the World Slavery Tour. So it's just banger after banger after banger. It's, Jesus Christ, everything about that album, from, Churchill's opening to, when they're doing, Hallowed Be Thy Name and Number of the Beast and Revelations and, the interaction between the crowd. It's just absolutely a perfect live album. You can't ask for anything more than that. Everybody sounds fantastic. Another one that's even great on vinyl. And I mean, if you've never seen Iron Maiden, you're missing out. They're a fantastic live band. They always have been. I think they're better live than they are on record. And I've personally seen Iron Maiden 20 times. Exactly. Wow. 20 times. And the last few times I made sure to take all of my kids. In 2018, I took my youngest daughter, and for the Legacy of the Beast tour, I took both my sons and we went up to Minneapolis. So, and there's the last time I saw them. Well, I did see that live spoken word thing that Bruce did, but not the same. But yeah, just an incredible live band, and you can't ask for anything more, really.
Yeah. I saw them live once.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. They were great live. It's just not, I don't love Iron Maiden, but I love The Trooper. I think The Troopers is like a great song. So I was excited to see him play that, but it's not really those vocals, man.
Wow. Hallowed Be Thy Name. Probably my favorite song of all time.
Unless Danny Phil sings it.
Yep. He can fuck it up.
Yep. All right. Well,
so
my
number one
is Nine Inch Nails and All That Could Have Been, metal adjacent. I think I've talked before my love of Nine Inch Nails and how I grew up, and they were like so central to me forming my identity and discovering that I liked heavier music and everything. And the All That Could Have Been tour happened right after The Fragile came out, and The Fragile is, in my opinion, one of the best emotionally driven albums that's ever been created across any genre. And All That Could Have Been, has acoustic versions of some of the songs, has, slight differences, with the live performances that really just add an even deeper layer of emotion to some of the things. And it's also, some things that were recorded before The Fragile. But I also got to see that tour live. It was honestly one of the first concerts I ever went to. It was probably like my third or fourth concert. Saw Nine Inch Nails in this huge arena, and I had terrible seats, but I was like so happy to be there. And, hearing And All That Could Have Been when it came out, it instantly takes me back to that moment, seeing them live for the first time. I cannot emphasize how important Nine Inch Nails music was to who I became as a person, how my love of music developed just in general, and how I eventually got to where I am now, where I love music and, need it to survive. I felt that way, in middle school and high school, and Trent Reznor was always there for me. And this album, even if I hear it today, if I listen to Fragile and All That Could Have Been today, it takes me right back to being a 16-year-old kid, at a massive concert by myself, enjoying seeing, such an important artist for me. And, part of it's a personal reason, but also just the performance on it is top tier. I mean, you really can't find a live album that is much better than this one. If you like Nine Inch Nails at all and you've never actually heard this one, you absolutely need to check it out. I mean, there's a acoustic rendition of Hurt on here that, you've heard the Johnny Cash version, you've heard the recorded Nine Inch Nails version, but I don't think you've heard it the way that it is here. It's so freaking powerful. Like, it almost makes me cry every time I hear it. So I don't know what else I can say, but this is this should be on everybody's best of live list.
Pretty Hate Machine is probably somewhere in, my top 20 of greatest albums of all time, or some of my favorite albums of all time. When that album came out, I think one thing that Trent Reznor does not get a whole lot of credit for, and he really should, is his lyrics are so fucking good. I mean, I normally don't give a rat's ass about lyrics because, like I've often said, great lyrics don't save a shitty song that's shitty musically. But, great music can save shitty lyrics. Children of Bodom, perfect example.
Yeah.
But Trent, I mean, just, the song Down in It, I cross my heart and I hope to die, but the needle's already in my eye and all the world's weight is on my back and I don't even know why. That is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And just so well written. And that whole album is that way. And all of his albums are like, he's definitely wrestling with a shit ton of demons. It's definitely like, you were probably having the same issues that I was older than you at that point, but I was having the same issues with, like, I didn't feel like I was ever good enough or, whatever. And, that music just spoke to you so well.
Well, it's, the thing about Nine Inch Nails is that, at least the earlier albums, right? Pretty Hate Machine, I would listen to that when I was angry. Broken, I would listen to that when I was like vengeful and angry. Mr. Self-Destruct, Downward Spiral, like that fed into my depression. The Fragile, kind of like, because I've lived in a constant state of depression my whole life. We already talked about this on the previous episode, but Fragile really was a hopeful sort of album for me. Like it's so many emotions, so much sadness, so much somberness, but also like this underlying level of hope. And I mean, it just meant so much to me. That album is probably the most important album of my entire life, to be honest. And, and then the live version adds a completely new layer to it. Everything he did after that, With Teeth and Year Zero, those are great albums. And lyrically, he's still churning out, these poetic masterpieces. Musically, they're a little bit different, a little bit more modern, but they're still very much Trent Reznor. But after that, he hasn't really done anything that I've paid attention to or been excited about in like 30 years. He's doing great scores for movies and TV and stuff like that. As soon as I hear it, I know it's him. I'm so well versed in his music that I immediately know when it is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross writing something for TV. But he got married. I presumably has a family now. I'm not really sure what his life status is, but he got happy. That's what happened. He lost his edge. He's not angry at the world the same way he was when he was in his 20s and 30s. And so the music he's turning out now is like, dark and moody and whatnot, but it doesn't capture the same essence that it did, when we were in our formative years, or I was at least. And so I don't know. I kind of miss that. I think he has one more great album in him. And I really hope we get it someday. David Lynch passed away a couple days ago, which is just devastating to me. I mean, I don't know how big of a David Lynch fan you were, but like, I love his movies. Twin Peaks, super important to me. And, him and Trent Reznor were friends. And so I started thinking about this and I'm just like, what if Trent dies and we don't get that last album? Like, I mean, that would be hard. That'd be really hard to live with.
Yeah. I really, really hope he comes out with another album. And I mean, the only thing you really need to know about Trent and the kind of person he is when Johnny Cash did Hurt, number one, an incredible version of that song. And, Trent got asked about it, what he thought about it. And he said, yeah, Johnny made that song his. He said, I like it way better than mine. And I think the reason is because, Johnny Cash had a very up and down life. There was a lot of depression in his life. He talked in multiple interviews about his level of depression. He's easily the only country singer that, like if he would be playing live, I would be like, sure, I'd go to that.
Yeah, same.
But, he was just one of those kind of artists. And you could tell by the way he was doing that song, how much those words meant to him. And it was just so well done. I mean, even watching the video, it'll bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's those words. It's the words.
Yeah, it's the words.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole song. Hurt is a unique song across all music. I've listened to so much emotionally powerful music, in my life. I've constantly sought it out. And I mean, I feel like Hurt is the reason that I've got this burning desire inside of myself to find that type of music, because until I had heard that song, I don't feel like I had heard music. I loved music. There was a lot that I enjoyed, but I don't think any of it, meant anything to me at the same way that it did after I heard Hurt for the first time.
It's one of those things where, go ahead.
It just, if there is a song that can truly 100% convey the emotion that I feel of depression, it's that song. And regardless of who's singing it, I mean, the Johnny Cash version is absolutely fucking phenomenal. So is the Trent Reznor version. So is the live version. Every time I hear that song, it just pulls this, like, even though I'm not depressed, it just pulls it out of me. And, it's a weird thing for people that have depression. It's like, it's almost comforting to experience it like that. I mean, it sucks, living with it all the time, but like feeling it that intensely and then being able to relieve it, because it like pulls it out of you until the song's over. And then you can, like cathartically let it go almost. It's like an exercise in therapy, sort of, making yourself feel that intense emotion all at once and then being relieved from it. And that's what that song's always done for me. Every single time I hear it, it's really just amazing.
Yeah. And I completely agree. And I think that's what makes, most people like music, but I think metalheads in general kind of like music a little bit more than most people.
Yeah.
And I think because, metalheads are album listeners, they're not song listeners. And
Definitely.
So they'll listen to a whole album. But there's also certain albums that come out that like hit you really, really fucking hard. Like there's certain, like Hurt even just talking about it and knowing how that song goes, it'll choke you up. Just even just talking about it, about how much that song fucking means to you.
Because there's such a connection to it. I mean, like,
yeah.
I don't understand people that like other genres of music, to be honest. Like, I can understand liking rock and hip hop and like having fun with music. I get that, because there's music that I like that's fun and enjoyable too. But like, if that's all it is for you, like, I feel like you're missing out on this just massive part of life. Because when you feel emotion through music, it's so much different than anything else you can experience anywhere else in the world, except maybe drugs, which is why there's such a big correlation between the two. And metal music is the place where there is the most experimentation and the most capability of exposing yourself to that. Maybe country music too, because there is a lot of like sadness built into country music, but it's almost like a caricature of, what it's supposed to be at this point. Cause it's like, all these bad things happen to me. Oh, woe is me, Whereas in metal, it's a lot more eloquently stated. I feel sorry for people that don't like music the same way that we do.
Well, I think what I love about metal so much is you're in a good mood, there's an album for that. You're in a bad mood, there's an album for that. You're angry, there's an album for that. You're depressed, there's an album for that. You name the feeling, there's an album and a genre tied to that feeling. And so, like, that's where you get depressive black metal. That's where you get, if you're happy, power metal. Feeling hopeful, power metal, traditional metal. It just runs the gamut.
Yeah.
And other, like my oldest son, he likes rap, but all of it kind of sounds the same to me. Okay, you're singing about whatever it is you're singing about, but it doesn't sound any different than the last song that you were singing about. Different words, yeah, different beat probably, but yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of rap, but I have friends that love rap on the same level that I love metal, and they're scholars of that type of music. They, listen to everything, they talk about it, they critique it, and that's great. I mean, I'm glad that there are other people that do that for other genres of music, but almost always, like, 'cause I've asked them about emotional response to that kind of music. There's just not any. I mean, it's either all about having a good time or like lamenting your problems, but lamenting your problems is not like self-reflective or internalized in any way. It's just like, I'm talking about the shit that I don't like in my life, and that's all that rap is. That's all that most music is. I mean, even pop, it's like, it's all, let's have a good time, or my boyfriend dumped me, it's, that's, it's a very gross generalization, but it's true. Like, there's, these are the day-to-day problems I deal with. Let's sing about them, or let's have a good time. That's pretty much what all music, aside from metal, boils down to.
I mean, to me, and I mean, I will probably get shit for saying this, but to me, metal is like a fancy restaurant 9-course meal. A lot of the other genres, pop and stuff like that, seems like a McDonald's drive-thru. Is it food? Yeah. But is it good food? No. Is it something that's going to stick with you? Probably not.
Well, metal is contemplative. I mean, even at the most basic level, if you're listening to the most brain dead, stupid slam death metal you can find, it's still contemplative, because it's like, we're all gonna fucking die. Yeah, sure. We're all gonna die. Life is horrible. Here's all these things that fucking suck. How do I deal with this? I mean, even the most basic brain dead metal shit is like introspective and reflective on the fact that, life is short, and how do we accomplish getting through it?
Yep.
Maybe not if you're Chris Barnes going ee, but if you're saying something, it is what it is.
Yeah. I think we went way off on a tangent there.
Oh yeah, we went on a huge tangent, but it was good. So hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get back on track. Let's talk about our pickups real quick. Have you picked up anything cool lately?
Well, considering it's been such a while since we've recorded, I actually have quite a few. I got the Halo Effect, of course. I got the album that came out last May for a band called Liar Thief Bandit. They're a rock band out of the UK. No, not out of the UK. They're Swedish, maybe? Somewhere over there. The album is called Icon. They're like a heavier version of Thin Lizzy, if that makes any sense. I really dig them. I've liked all their albums, so I've been a fan for quite a while. But for a long time, that album just never came in, and I didn't understand why. And so I reordered it because I had pre-ordered it, and it just kept saying unavailable.
You've really got to start keeping track, man. Just like get a whiteboard and put it up in your office. Write them down as you buy them or something.
I just canceled it and ordered it again, and it showed up in 2 days. So
nice.
There you go. Then I'm a big fan of the band Thron, Thron.
Yeah, I like them too.
And I did not have their album Abysmal. And I actually found that on Walmart.com for like $14. So nice. I was like, fuck yeah. So there we go. Then I didn't really have any Harikiri for the Sky. And I noticed that their first two, the remaster versions that came out in 22, they were like $20 on Amazon.
They're not just remasters; they're actually re-recordings. They changed some of the things in the songs. Like, both of those albums are two of my favorite albums of all time. The re-recordings. I go back to those weekly. Like, those are my palate cleanser albums. Those are like my driving around albums. If I'm not listening to new stuff, I I dare say I like those two albums more than the more recent stuff, even. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, I also got Trauma, their third album. I actually found that also on Walmart.com, and it was like $15, I think.
That's a great deal.
Yeah, so I was like, hell yeah. So now the only ones that I need are Arson and Mare, and
Scorched Earth.
I'm
coming out in a week.
Yeah, I already have that pre-ordered, so I'll definitely.
What copy did you get? Did you get the one of the deluxe ones, or did you get the special editions, or just a regular one?
I'm not sure. I got it off Amazon.
It's probably just a regular one.
Yeah, probably.
I had to bite the bullet and pay $100 for the special edition.
Well, they're your favorite band, so
yeah, I know.
That's not crazy.
Still tough dropping that much money on one record.
Yeah, that's rough. Then I also picked up the new My Wrath album, Karma, power metal band. Picked up a Soilwork album that I didn't have called Sworn to a Great Divide.
It's a good album.
I think it was $12 on Amazon or something.
That's a good deal,
it was
too.
Super cheap.
Nice.
And I think I mentioned this the last time we recorded, but I wasn't sure. The Seth LaFrance Tomatits that came in. And then Amazon has this new thing. I don't know if it's super new or anything, but I've never noticed it before. But you can just flat out ask it a question instead of in the search function, saying a certain band that you want to look up. Like, let's say Soilwork. And then it just shows you all the Soilwork album. But now you can actually just ask it a question like, what black metal albums are there for under $15?
Yeah,
and
it's been that way
in there.
It's been that way for about 8 months. Because I've been
I've
been finding stuff on Amazon for almost a year now, just by looking for albums under $15, and I found a lot of good ones for cheap.
Well, I did that and found the following: White a Lot, Celestial Shrine. That was like $12. Black Lava, The Savage Winds to Wisdom. I think that was $14.
It's a good album.
The band Daath, Daath, Hinderers. And I don't know if it's Sinestro or if it's Siniestro. I'm assuming it's Siniestro because I would assume DC Comics would have a problem with them using the name Sinestro. And their album Vortex Transparent. Some of these, like I wasn't aware of who Siniestro was, but I saw it and saw it was like $13 or something. And so I hopped on Spotify, gave it a listen. It's like, oh shit, this is good.
I do that a lot when I see sales. I'll troll Amazon or indie merch store, look at their clearances and under $15, whatever, and then just make a playlist. And if I like it, I'll
always
buy it.
Look at those. Always check out those clearances. You never know. Especially with, if you're dropping $100 on an album, it feels a whole lot better drop 12.
It's very true. Very, very true. Well, is that it for your pickups?
Yep, that's all.
Okay, for mine,
that's enough.
I have not been buying vinyl like I did last year. Like I said, I'm trying to save money for Health Heroes, but I did pick up Exuvial Hive Mind Chronicles Part 1 on vinyl. They had a limited run of only 75 copies. That one was a little bit pricey, but I really loved that album. If it had come out earlier in the year, it probably would have made my top 30. I just didn't get enough time with it last year, but still made my top 50. So it's a very good album. And then I picked up the Besna album that I mentioned as my, pick on this episode. Aside from that, I haven't been buying vinyl, but I did win a couple of competitions online over the Christmas break. I've been working on my battle jacket since our second episode, way back in February of last year. It's more or less done, but I still, pay attention to a lot of the patch vendors and stuff like that to see if any, new ones come out or anything I could upgrade, because I do have a couple of not official patches and things like that. And anyways, Rare Treasure Patches had a contest and I won. So they're sending me, like a package with a bunch of various back patches and a collection of like 7 or 8 smaller patches. So it's like a grab bag. I don't know what I'm going to get, but it could be cool. I'm excited for that. And then Nuclear Blast did their yearly advent calendar giveaway where every single day they have something they give away. And so I won one of the days. There's a clothing company called Mortis Vivente. They make like these like really dark gothic kind of looking tarot card shirts, a lot of skulls and skeletons and shit like that. And, anyways, I want a prize package from them. So I'm getting a bunch of shirts with tarot card, like death figures and stuff. So it should be cool.
Nice.
Free shirts are free shirts.
Yeah.
So
Free
I like
is
their,
the best price.
I like their designs. I'm excited to see what I end up getting. And that's pretty much it for pickups for me. So, thanks to Rare Treasure Patches, thanks to Nuclear Blast, and then thanks to Besna and Exuvial for making killer music.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move into our extreme submission. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, Am I in Trouble released their newest album called Spectrum. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but I wanted to go ahead and play a track, my favorite track on the album, which is the color pink, so you guys can hear it and kind of get a feel for what we're talking about with that one. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Go check out Am I in Trouble on Bandcamp or Ampwall. They are doing vinyl copies that'll be released sometime in February. I think, Christian, you already pre-ordered yours. I still need to.
Yep.
I haven't done it yet, but Steve said he gave us a shout out in the liner notes, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. So we'll have to get him on the show one of these days. But for now, hope you guys enjoy this track. Again, this is Am I in Trouble and the track Pink off of the album Spectrum. And we will see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right. See you.